I know that feeling, that nagging sense of being stuck in a career that no longer fits. I've been there. That feeling of, is this it? Is this all there is? Especially as we reach our 50s. The self doubt, the fear of change, it's real. But I also know from my own journey that it doesn't have to define us. That's why I created 50 Forward Fearless Future. It's not just a program, it's a lifeline, a guide born from my own desire to find something more after 50. I wanted to help women like me, women who know they have more to offer, more to experience. In 50 Forward Fearless Future, you'll conquer the fears that whisper it's too late or you're not enough. I'll share the strategies that help me silence those voices. Build the confidence to truly own your worth and embrace your unique strengths. Create a personalized roadmap to a career that lights you up, a career that truly reflects who you are now. And join a community of women who get it, who understand the challenges and the triumphs of this stage of life. This isn't just about finding another job, it's about rediscovering your passion, reclaiming your purpose, and creating a future that's bolder and brighter than you ever imagined. It's about creating a life you truly love. I know what's possible because I've lived it, and I want to help you live it too. Visit www.janicesutherland.com to learn more and join us. Your fearless future is waiting. You're listening to This Woman Can. I'm your host, Janice Sutherland, where I help mature professional Black women take charge of their careers and lives to create a future on their terms. Hey everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist for the mature Black woman. Now, the one thing I've learned doing this podcast for many years that I have been doing it is that no matter where we are, as Black women, especially as mature Black women, our journeys are very much the same. Despite the oceans, despite the different continents, our journeys are very similar. The same challenges and issues are faced. So when I put the shout out for more guests for this year's episodes, I was delighted to get my first guest from Sweden. And I'm going to introduce her now. Fransesca Quartey, I hope I'm pronouncing her name right, was born in Gothenburg. Yeah, fantastic. Was born in Gothenburg to a Swedish mother and Ghanaian father. And Francesca's always been drawn to the transformative power of culture and creativity. After completing formal training as an actor at Gothenburg's drama school, she moved to Stockholm, where her career flourished across TV, film, radio, theatre, and stage, including work at Stockholm City Theatre and the prestigious Royal Dramatic Theatre in Dramaten. In addition to acting, Francesca discovered a passion for directing, which led to an unexpected and rewarding chapter as CEO of a regional theatre. Tasked with modernising the organisation, she oversaw an increase in ticket sales and secured external partnerships that boosted finances significantly. This was a pivotal experience for her and inspired her to transition into coaching, where she now guides leaders navigating similar challenges. So please welcome the inspiring and multifaceted, I can't get that word out this morning, Fransesca Quartey. Fransesca, lovely to meet you and welcome to This Woman Can.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. I've listened to your pod and you have some little gemstones that are written down in my notebook. Yes.
Fantastic. I always say that, podcasting for me, I've been doing it 7 years, is a love. I genuinely enjoy podcasting because I get to meet fabulous women like yourself. And it just gives you a different perspective. And if one person gets one thing out of each podcast, then I've done my job. So I'm happy for that. And I'm just going to look observation. I'm probably going to be a little bit of show my biases here, but I actually expected you to have a stronger Swedish accent. I don't know what it is. Maybe don't take this the wrong way, but what's popped in my head as a kid, growing up, we had the Muppets, and we had the Swedish chef.
Yes. Well, it's not biased in that sense, simply because I went to an English school for 4 years when I was a little girl.
Ah.
So
Ah,
my love for all things British really established itself there. And also, you should know as well as your listeners that growing up in the eras of the 60s and the 70s, we were inundated with great television from
yes.
BBC.
Yes, yeah.
And it's the core foundation of our speaking much in our country. And then I've added the fact that I actually went to an English school. So yes,
Fantastic, fantastic. So that explains it. So I get over that now. I get over that now.
great.
So Francesca, let me ask you, how did about your journey and how you got to where you are today? Because I read some of the answers you sent to me, and you're doing fantastic things. And I just want to know a little bit more about what got you this latter part of your journey.
Well, when I decided that I had run the course of the journey being a CEO of the
Yeah,
regional theatre. I was CEO for 9 years. Lot of beautiful memories. I really enjoyed my work every day that I went to work. However, the final years were a bit of a challenge because we're moving from a place where we had been for 40 years into a totally new environment. And
right.
that took a lot out of me. And I always said that I was gonna pursue that journey to lead the whole company into the new environment and be there for a year. And after that, I said, now it's time for me to regroup and do new things.
Yeah,
Um, and I'd had a company before, but as I was looking into where did I want to move now, there were a lot of things that came up. I mean, I have to say, I just turned 60 this year.
yeah, yeah.
And it is a new time. It's a new time of reckoning. It's sort of it's a transition. And my
Yes.
50s were very much a feeling of everything that I can be, the quote
Yeah,
that Maya Angelou says.
yeah,
But 60s, I felt a bit lost. So I started out with the basics that I knew.
yeah,
And I knew something about culture and I knew something about leadership. So therefore, supporting other leaders was an easier route to go and working within the cultural sphere, which is very much where I get my income from now. I've
yeah,
been moderating large library conferences. I'm doing a conference now with the library, and then I'm doing a moderating in the parliament, and
yeah.
things like that where I feel a bit I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's a great thing to understand is that when women are going through transitions or career transitions, and quite often, especially the women I work with, they're fretting about what can they do because their mindset is that I'm starting over. And
Yes.
yeah, and it's like, well, but you're not
Yeah.
starting over, you're starting from experience because you
Yes.
have to look back into the
Yes.
cadre of skills you have built, developed, the experiences over the years that money can't buy, that, no amount of, I dare I say, school book learning could actually give you. So you're not starting from fresh, you're starting from experience. So I think you've just kind of summed that up really, really well about what the next, how you approach your next step.
And can
So,
I just
Francesca, yeah, of
add a thing
course.
too? I just want to add something to your listeners out there that one of the things that I've found too is that you are so right. We start from something. We're not where we were when we were in our 20s. Yet
Yes.
somehow the thing that I've realized is that there is also emotional and mental work to do because the feeling of starting over is
Yes.
very true.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've actually had to focus and going, okay, let's work with all those things. Because as women, we tend to go, oh, what do I really know? I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I could apply for that job. Or
Yeah.
why for that?
Yeah.
And so it's work taking your space. And I
Yeah.
would have to say even more so for a woman of color.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, like, why did I not want to go back to only acting? I'm doing
Mm.
something now, and in this summer I will be doing, and then fall too, which is great fun for me. And the reason I said is because I work too hard to get to a certain level.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's very important that no matter where you choose to go, you have to be the one to make the decisions because you work too hard for anything else.
Absolutely. 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 And I hear that because like you, I had a similar transition where, I was working for an organization, huge restructure, and I thought that's not the direction I want to be going in anymore.
Right.
So I gave 6 months notice and made that change. And like you said, I think for many months for me, it was very much the mindset of, especially living on a small island as I do at that
Right.
time. if I've been in
Right.
the UK, I had lots of options, I think, because it's much bigger, lots more opportunities. But a small island, the way it is, 100,000 people, the options were limited. So I fretted very much, like I said, the mindset about what can I do? Could I do this? I didn't think about am I too old? I don't think I could, and that which I know a lot of women do face. I didn't think about that because the one thing I realized is that my 60, I turned 60 last year. So
Right.
I know what you mean,
Yeah.
was that I realized that my 60 was not my mama's 60, you know, and it's very, very different. So the age thing didn't come into it, but I think I had lots of other fears financially and stuff like that. So as you said, the mindset work is
Yes.
really important, which is where I tend to, when I work with my clients, especially the women I work with, they think, I just need a framework to tell me how to change a job. And actually, it's not about the framework. That's the easy bit. That bit on paper, updating your resume, that's the easy bit. It's the piece here in the mind, that all the things you don't say out loud about your fears of making that transition, that's the difficult bit. So I'm glad you touched on that. So let me
Adding
stop
on
talking.
what you, yeah, sorry, just adding to what you said about age. You, I have had a similar feeling that's quite interesting that there was one time when I was applying for something I didn't get and I applied for something else I didn't get and I was talking to this friend and I was like, I was so upset. And my default mode as a woman of color is always my color.
Yes.
So I was like, oh, it's because I have to get better. I have to,
Yeah, yeah.
and I remember her saying it in the phone. She said, "Mm, could it be your age?" And I was like, what has age got to do with it? And then it dawned upon me, not because I will let that define me. I haven't let
Yeah,
color define me, so I'm not going to let
yeah,
that define me.
yeah,
But it was a moment of, oh, this is what the older women friends I have are talking
yeah,
about.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think you need to be aware of it, even
Yes.
then as you charge on to your life and,
Yeah.
decide what to do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I call us, we're like the dynamic trinity. We're over 50, we're black and we're female. So we've got the gender, we've got the gender, the race,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
age, all
Yeah.
those things have kind of come together. And
Yes.
individually, they've all got their issues, when
Yes.
you're facing navigating the world, but put the three together, and we're pretty unique in what we face as women in this sector. We're pretty unique at what we face, but I think that actually our strength and our power, the
Yeah.
fact that we're aware of all three things. We've navigated all these three things, but it's
Yes.
how do we play it to our advantage? And I think
Yes.
that's where we need to, yeah, I think that's what we need to think about,
Right.
and put it that way. So, but I'm loving our conversation, by the way. So, so when you started out on this journey, Francesca, I think you touched on it earlier about making that move. What do you wish you would known more about when you embarked on this aspect of your invention?
Well, one of the things is I had a clear understanding of the importance of having a nest egg, a kind of,
Yeah,
put some money away.
yeah,
Um, Even though I was a bit stressed about it, and I was so loyal to my work and to my staff that I didn't think of the opportunity I had that many actually do, is that you look for a job while you have a job.
yes,
Uh,
yeah,
Mine was very much, I'm seeing this to the bitter end and with flags flying, and then I'm going to finish, and I've got my nest egg, and then it's going to take probably about 6 months for me to kind of recuperate and go, right, what's next?
yeah, yeah,
And the journey may or may not be longer. So having those kinds of nest eggs are important. They
yeah,
are because, as you know, uh, we women have a very strong sense of stress when it comes to money, many times because
yes,
we might not be the sole breadwinner in a family, say I'm by
yeah,
myself,
yeah, yeah,
but we are the ones that are kind of the core sometimes of a
yeah,
family.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so not having that stress is really important because no creative process
yeah,
ever happened in stress. It really
yeah,
doesn't.
yeah,
People think that artists, they have all this anxiety and then they create. No, usually what happens is that they have an anxiety and then they have a little period which is a bit calmer, and that's when they reflect on what they've been through. When you're in actual stress mode, you cannot create and you cannot be creative. It's very hard. You're pressured in a way which doesn't find the best solutions. So I would say the two things that I wish that I would have been more aware of is having a little larger nest egg, even if that though I had one, and the
Yeah.
second one, it is possible for you as a woman to apply for other jobs even when you have a job because you can
Yeah.
always say no.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and it's very true. And that those two little letters, the NO, is
Mm,
very powerful in all aspects,
yes.
in all aspects. So, how do you think, Francesca, that your identity as a Black woman shaped your journey, especially in this midlife stage?
You know, I am very much a product of my two parents. So, just to give a background once again, my father's from West Africa, Ghana, from Accra, born and raised. He is no longer with us. He passed on in 2019. And my mother, bless her, still going strong, turning 80 this year, is from Sweden.
Yeah,
And I would say that the two things that they brought with me, one was my mother has a very large sense of humility and tomorrow is a new day and you pay your bills before you eat and things like that,
yeah, yeah,
old
yeah,
school that way.
yeah, yeah,
And my father had, because he was both a runaway child and came to London just after the war, 46, and was like in his his late teens
yeah,
and kind of managed everything from not having
yeah,
school perspectives and everything. He
yeah,
was kind of um grand manners and that, and anything is possible.
yeah,
And between the two, I navigated. And my father, due to his own personal life, and of course some of the injustices that he experienced as a black man in the UK and later in Europe and Sweden,
yeah,
um, had a kind of not so openness and interaction without having a feeling of people are out to get me. And
mm,
so I learned from that one, there is always a new tomorrow.
yeah,
Two, I will not let anybody else define what I can do or not do. You can always come with advice or
yeah,
say things,
yeah,
but in
yeah,
the end, I'm the one who have to live with my own decisions.
exactly. Yeah,
And I want to say the last thing is that in a country, our country is different from UK in that sense that even though we did have colonial, colonies and a very brief period in the 1600s, we have not had that kind of imperial
yeah,
connection with countries, right?
yeah,
So um, it is a challenge sometimes to move ahead in an environment that doesn't really acknowledge race, if you understand what I'm
right,
trying.
right,
And And because of my mother's background, which is from small town, on her side, we're farmers all the way back to the
yeah,
1600s.
yeah,
I managed to navigate also where I am now
yeah,
with that in mind, because there's hardly a room that I enter
yeah.
that, I'm almost always the only black person.
The only, yeah,
Yeah, and so I lean on my mother's side to protect myself from the feeling of otherness in one way.
right, right,
And, and it has worked quite well many a times. But of course there are certain instances where you go like, okay, this is an interesting aspect and it will touch me profoundly in a way. And I'm fortunate that I have a few, I call them sisters in the same business that, that we talk to and we
yeah,
support one another. But I think that my way of dealing with it has been in my life because my father had such a hard time, is that
yeah,
I will not let it define me, but I
yeah,
am aware of it. And I'm a
yeah,
very
yeah,
proud. Afro Swede. I mean, my
Yeah.
Ghanaian roots. I'm a dual citizen, and I'm very proud of the fact that I've Ghanaian roots too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Thank you for that. And you touched on something there about having having your group of friends. So,
Yes.
how important do you think is for community? I think that's the community at this stage of life. And I say that because I'm just thinking, I just sort of thought popped in my head because but I don't feel I have a strong community here myself because I'm an expat.
Yes.
I'm British born, Antiguan roots, and my mother's Antiguan, but she didn't grow up here, so I don't have that sense of connection per se that I have here. So, and I've always kind of told myself I think community for me is I've created my community, but maybe more virtual as opposed to physical. So I would say, how important do you think is community at this stage of life, at this stage of your journey? You know, being 60 and
I mean, I think that you are speaking truth and wisdom in that sense that there are two kinds of communities.
yeah,
One is the community of people that understand you.
yeah,
It has been very important in my life that I have people who know who I am, who understand how I work. It
yeah,
it gives me a sense of connection, but also kind of a centeredness that,
mm,
somebody knows who I am.
mm,
And those people may be of different gender, different ages, different races, but they know who you are and they understand and see and love you for who you are. That's one thing.
mm, mm,
The other thing is that there are certain experiences there are certain experiences, for example, that you as a man will not readily know because you are not walking in the
yeah,
world of women.
yeah,
It's
yes,
not
yeah,
it's not about sexism or anything. It's just the fact that you cannot experience what it might be to step into, let's say, a car shop and somebody treats you in a different way than they would a man. Not necessarily
yeah,
in a bad
yeah,
way, just
yeah,
differently.
yeah,
It is
yeah,
hard for you as a man to do that. You can, just like you can if you're a white person and you
yeah,
open your eyes, you can have an understanding of what it might be. So
yeah,
the community of Black sisters is has been an important one in that sense that there are certain things where you go, and then this happened, and I thought, is it or should it? Maybe I was, and people go, yeah,
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 I know what
yeah,
you mean.
yeah,
And I have been fortunate that in the mid 90s, I initiated a show, a dinner show, with at the time four Black women, and later we became five. That then did the same show but in a new format in 2012, and we are now. In the fall, we're going to do this show again with a British director. And it has been so wonderful that even though we don't always talk, we call
yeah,
each other sisters and
yeah,
we'll check in on one another once in a
yeah,
while. And there are certain unique things where you can go and say, and this happened and this happened.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
like, okay.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah,
I think that, and I find that now at this age, having friends is really important. I look at my mother and see she's, as I said, turning 80, and she's really the perfect poster child for what is it to have a good life at that age.
mm,
She's a woman of faith, so she has a strong church community.
yeah,
She has
yeah,
grandchildren. She's got a garden. She
yeah,
walks every day, and she goes to the
yeah,
gym 3 times a week. I mean, and she
yeah,
eats well. And
yeah,
I'm thinking that I don't have the grandchildren. I'm not, of her strong faith, but I need to now, at this age, I need to look forward and say, what kind of community do I want to
mm,
build?
mm,
Because as we grow older, it's more cumbersome to find those relationships,
yeah,
to make that community. And there is nothing that will aid you more, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually, than being alone.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm fortunate I work with culture because I have a very strong love for, everything from exhibitions to theatre plays and everything like that. But you have to keep feeding the mind. So
yeah,
community and you can call them hobbies, but interests are important.
yes, yeah,
stage.
yeah. Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. So, do you think that Black women over 50 are redefining success? And if so, how?
Well, of course, honestly, I have to say that I don't have that large community that
Yeah,
that you're at least in touch with where you are, or if you
yeah,
were in the UK. But I do find that women are redefining success at this age all over the world.
yeah,
In
yeah.
that sense that you are quite right. 50 and 60 when we were young,
Yes.
you
Yeah,
look at those people and you thought, what do you know? You're almost dead.
yeah,
You-
yeah,
And now at this age, you're still grappling with who's turning 60? Who? What?
yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah,
I think that I feel very strongly that I really do. I want to have some more years of success in
yeah,
whatever form that
yeah,
means. I will
yeah,
have to define it. But, and it's not the accolades per se, or it's not the status, but it's that feeling of, yes,
yeah,
I did
yeah,
what I set out to do.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that I share that feeling with a lot of women. However, I would say, I think
yeah,
your pod is very important and others that encourage women at this age to go, hey, it's not over yet.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Because I think that people can also have a sense of, giving up. And I've seen it time and time again. And that's the medium of theater too,
mm,
transformation. You can
mm,
take somebody and transform them into whatever,
mm,
right? And
mm,
that can
mm,
also be said by somebody grappling with that sense of feeling, oh, it's over. And
yeah,
I too had a touch of it. I too had a touch of it as I was moving towards, my birthday. And
yeah,
that's why I formed a little sorry for that, a little internet group with just three women.
mm, mm,
We call ourselves Badass 60, and we're all turning 60. So we've had this for 1.5 years now.
yeah,
And we just chit chat about things because
yeah,
I also had that feeling, oh, well,
yeah.
maybe just relax. And I've still got what? I mean, if our pension here in Sweden is now 67, I've still got 7 years more to
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. And I think the important thing you picked up, you said there, and one thing that I always encourage women to do is redefining success.
Yes,
Because
that's good.
success that,
Good.
we all know success coming from our careers, especially in the 80s, 90s, was all about the power suit with the big shoulder pads, the cars, the heels, the house, the this. And I had when I embarked on my leaving the corporate world to doing this entrepreneurship, doing my thing, I had
Right.
that wobble, like you say, because I was like, this isn't happening. I'm not doing it at the same pace. I'm not getting the results that I was getting before. So that, and I was thinking, am I being successful? And the one thing I realized is that I had to redefine success because if I wanted the same thing being an entrepreneur that I want in the corporate world, why did I leave the corporate world? Because that was already there, I'd already accomplished that, I already got that. So then I realized redefining success for me meant about having my own time to go and work to be in the garden,
Yeah.
doing the pursuits I wanted to do, taking it easy, not having that level of the threat of burnout again, or the
Yes.
stress, or the deadlines, or having to jump on a plane at the last minute for a business meeting. Where if I jump on a plane, it's because I want to travel somewhere for pleasure.
Yeah.
So I had to really redefine what success meant. So I think that's really, really important that we take some time to understand in our 50s, 60s, what do we want next? What is success for us? If it means you don't have to start work till 9 o'clock, or you have an extra hour in bed, that's success. That
Yes.
if that was your goal, that was success.
I have to say, a person that really inspired me and made me change my perspective. It's somebody that you should have on your program, even though she's not a black sister in that sense. Her name is Jen Vigil, and she works with women in their midlives she's a coach, but she
Yeah,
works with them physically. It
yeah,
has to do with hormones and everything like that. And she made me redefine so many things that I've been thinking. One of them, of course, she told me, it took a while to get where you are now, because I've had some problem
Yeah,
physically. And she
yeah,
said, you think it feels like it's overnight, but it's been happening for a
yeah,
long time. And you
yeah,
haven't listened because we never do. We're like,
yeah,
oh, got to
yes,
go on the next thing, next thing. And this is an age where things really seep through the cracks
yeah,
and you go
yeah,
like, oh,
um,
oh.
yeah,
And also she spoke about things about how the body functions and everything like that. And I feel that I can honestly say the last 2, 3 years is the big menopause discovery. I mean, my menopause started earlier, right?
yeah,
I was much earlier than the women in my family due to the fact that I tried to have children.
right,
When you're in that process of taking hormones, the
yeah,
body's like, right, thank
yeah,
you, we're
yeah,
off.
yeah,
And so, but I had a very easy transition. I mean, really
mm,
easy.
yeah,
So I never bothered to inform myself about what's going on in my body and what's happening. I mean, I had a friend who was almost suicidal, and she
yeah,
was like, I cannot live like this, who, went into HRT
yeah, yeah,
supplements and everything like that. And I think that this is, they talk about the crone, you talk about maiden mother crone. This is the wise woman age. It
yeah,
really is.
yeah,
But some of us, once again, as you said, redefine success. Yes, and maybe rediscover wisdom, real
yeah,
wisdom.
yeah, yeah,
And and that takes time, and the wobbly part, you got to get through it, and it's quite uncomfortable and but
yeah,
once you get through it and you realize, and one of the things that is really important to realize is that there is nothing as valuable as your time. Nothing.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I've being a very spontaneous person, it has taken me really up to now to realize that if I'm not structured with my time,
yeah,
then I will not be able to reach that kind of success that I would like, or that kind of
yeah,
entertaining and or being with friends that I like. It's like it's a game of it's like counting money, you know.
yeah,
If,
yeah,
if you keep spending it all the time, where is it? It's not there,
yeah,
is it? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And that is one of those things that I think is really important now at this age.
Fantastic. So, and Francesca, I love what you said about things seeping into the body and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like you, I think for me, menopause was slightly, it was I didn't realize it was happening. I think I was that stressed at work and all the pressures that I was experiencing going through the changes at work, and it was a very pressurized environment that I
Right.
didn't realize that that's what was happening at the time. At the same time, I was facing these stresses. So I had
Yes.
burnout and I had that at the menopause at the same time. And sometimes I used to think, well, if you had known you were going through that, would you have made the decisions that you did to leave at the time? I think the answer is yes, because I have no regrets. I don't want to go back to it. But like you said, sometimes people, what we're led to believe that menopause is, and we know it's different for every woman, but when we hear it's different for every woman, we always hear about the hard parts, the
Yes.
how bad it is and stuff like that. And
Right.
like you, I didn't experience that per se. I don't think, I didn't have. I kind of knew, all right, oh, that's what it was. But but listening to your body, I think the message I want to say is listen to your body, because it does have a way of telling you when you need to slow down or something's happening. And as you said, we sometimes have a tendency, yeah, 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 that can wait, that can wait. Let me go and do something else. Let me move on. So yes, yes, yes,
I
yes,
mean, I think that what people get confused about is what is listening to your body. And I think that there is, the more I'm reading, and I'm reading quite a lot now, there is a rhythm and flow to your body that, because we are not in touch with our bodies, we march on. And sometimes we march on because we have to march on.
yeah,
Who's going to pay the bills?
yeah, yeah,
But I think that I do think that that job that I loved very much, but that was quite stressful at that time, to leave
yeah,
it,
yeah,
to finish and do other things, was the right
yeah,
decision.
Yeah.
Now, as I'm recuperating and gaining my strength back and everything like that, now I'm ready to do other things.
Yes.
However, I would also say that um, because of the challenges and the not listening,
Yeah.
there were certain things that were alleviated in my body, that the pressure went up.
Yeah.
And and I think that had I paced it out in another way, but maybe then again, who knows? It's as you said, had it been possible? I don't
Yeah.
know. You're in the
Yeah.
full swing of things. People are going in and out of your office all day.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to take care of crisis
Yeah.
constantly. Um, but I think now what I feel very strongly is that at this age, we need to harness more of our innate wisdom, and
Yeah.
that demands something of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely agree. Definitely agree there. So, Francesca, we're coming down to our last few questions. So, we're having a
Right.
fabulous conversation. But I think my question for you right now is what myths about aging or midlife have you busted for yourself?
That's a very good question. Um, I think I've busted a few, and I think I have maybe one or two left. Uh, One of them is that the creativity level, of course, is there
Yeah.
constantly. I think that I'm lucky to be an inquisitive, curious person by nature.
Mm.
I'm really interested in what people are doing in the world, and I had the good fortune of 2 years ago to go on a paid vacation actually to Egypt, and I'd always, whenever I'd done vacation trips, because my family's scattered all over the world, I would go to visit, my
Yeah.
family in France or my family
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Ghana or my family in
Yeah.
America.
Yeah.
But to go on a trip for the joy of just going on the trip, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
it reconnected me with this is absolutely part of what I want to be, that I want to be part of my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um, I think one of the best myths that I haven't busted is dating, which
Right.
is quite difficult in Sweden in one sense because we don't have that Anglo-Saxon tradition of dating per se.
Right. Okay.
So you try and navigate through that. And I would like that to be an area for me as I grow older to actually venture in because I've been one of those women who has work has been at the core of
Yeah.
everything I've done. And
Yeah.
because I worked in the field of the arts, where there's so much joy and
Yeah.
laughter and love
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
emotionality and caressing and touching and like that in
Yeah.
that sense. It's been a substitute in a way.
Right.
Uh, but I think that the biggest myth that I busted is really it ain't over yet.
Yeah, fantastic. Love
Yeah.
that. And absolutely. I totally agree with you. I think for me, turning 60, there was like, whoa, 50 was one thing, and I love my 50s, but
Yeah.
60 is like, okay, okay. I don't know what it was,
I know.
and I
Just
can't
that the thing that
explain it.
you're doing, I've been doing too. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah,
Hello.
can't explain
Yeah.
it, but
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm definitely being more adventurous. I'm definitely, want to try more things, do more. There's limitations. I'm not going to lie. My body does give me limitations. I can feel I'm go as I put up in a post. I'm growing older, but I don't feel old. If
But I
that if
think
that
you
makes
touched on
sense.
that episode that you did.
Yeah,
I think the Michelle Obama episode, right?
right. I don't give it.
Where you said, okay, there's going to be a few F-bombs.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would have to say it's the age of FO. In a
yeah,
sense, my mother told me this. She said that, when you're a certain age, you fly under the radar.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that also, it's not only sorrowful, it also gives you an opportunity to go like,
Hmm.
well, and
Yeah,
F off. I'm doing
and
whatever I want. So I think that is that is an important aspect of it, that once you get over the wobbly bit, because I feel the wobbly bit is there for all of us. What does it
Yes. Yeah.
mean to turn 60? And
Yes.
not
Yes.
it's not what people think, that you feel you lack a sense of femininity or anything. No, 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 no.
No.
It's
No.
not.
No. No.
It's the kind of, I'm still here,
Yeah.
and yet it's I have to fight a little more for that space. And at the same time, I'm
Yeah.
like, being a black person, that's what I've done all my
Yeah.
life. You know,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
continue.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. So, I suppose what next for Francesca?
Well, this year, I'm picking up again. I have a one-woman show about Billie Holiday that I've done
Oh,
before.
lovely.
Yeah, Billie Holiday was one of my favorites. And it turned out, I found out later in my years that it was also my father's favorite. So I have a performance based on her biography, Lady Sings the Blues, me and a pianist. We tell her story. I'm picking that up again. In
Yeah.
summertime, I'm doing once again summer stock, Fiddler on the Roof, playing
Oh,
the
it's one of my
wife.
favorites. You know, it's one of
Yeah,
my favorites.
it's a beautifully musical. I have to say, I'm playing the wife of Tevye, the milkman,
Yeah.
and the, I have to say the music is wonderful. We're playing
Yeah.
outdoors. We've got a great cast, and we're really enjoying ourselves. So that's going to be fun. And then, of course, in the fall, I have this show that we're picking up with these five black women,
Yeah.
uh, which is going to be So Where Are We Now?
Yeah.
With that said, I'm still applying once in a while. I am applying for jobs that look really interesting when it comes
Yeah.
to leadership positions. Um, because I feel that it's very important to have people stand up and defend culture, and I feel I still have much to offer in that, position. And I really love the theater. So fingers crossed, maybe there'll be something that
Yeah.
will come up this year about that. And apart from
Fantastic.
that, I'm really focusing on healing. And
Yeah.
what do I mean by healings? In that sense, that giving my body what it needs when it comes to walking, training,
Yeah.
meditating, trying to get good food in my body, trying to lose some weight to help,
Yeah.
help my body
Yeah.
regain
Yeah.
strength, things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, and I want to sneak one more question in.
Sure.
If you could describe this stage of your life in one word, what would it be and why?
I don't know if this is an English word. You have to help me here. Anticipatory, is that an English word?
Anticipation, anticipate. I
Yeah.
don't know about anticipatory. I
I
think
think
it's a
that,
bit too much.
yes, yes. Sometimes I do that kind of go, this sounds
Yeah,
good. Um, I
but it's your
think,
word.
yeah, I think the feeling I have now is one of anticipation in a good way,
Yeah,
meaning that I want to push my own agenda for a few more years,
yeah,
and then comes the true age of FO,
yeah,
because then I get to choose and do exactly what I
yeah,
want to do.
yeah,
But I feel that I want to partake in the world as it progresses. And I also feel that right now, the level of uncertainty in the world,
mm,
I feel very strongly we need culture more than ever.
yeah,
Culture has a way of helping us deal with personal and national
mm,
anxieties and difficulties and challenges like nothing else.
yeah,
I have to say that when I see the power of culture, and what I mean by culture, it can be anything from the arts to theater to music to literature. When I see how it can impact us as we move forward, I feel that more than ever, this is something that is needed very much in the world today.
fantastic, fantastic. So, interesting. If people want to know more about what you do, connect, or just reach out, how can they do that?
Well, I've got my own webpage, which is my name, Francesca Quartey, no dot in between, francescaquartey.com. That's my webpage where you can reach me. I'm on Instagram, which is also under my name. I have a few accounts actually, but the one that's really relevant is the one that's my name. You can find me on LinkedIn, of course. And I'm also writing a bit on Threads, but that's mostly in Swedish, and about current
Right.
political situations and things like
Yeah.
that. And I'd be happy to be sought out if there's anything that seems exciting. And I should add that I'm a really, really good moderator and host. So
Okay. Let's
for
put it out
people.
there. Shout it.
Yes,
Definitely.
I am. And
Fantastic.
and
Fantastic.
it was great fun to be a coach to, of course, you've been coaching people, you
Yeah.
know this, but it was a new experience for me. When I was a coach as a CEO, I coached, the
Yeah.
managers underneath me. But it has been really interesting to be a coach with people that I don't have a work connection with,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to be supportive of their journey. And I feel a bit like a mother going like, ooh.
It does. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. So, Francesca, thank you so much for your time today and for being my
Thank you
guest.
so much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
As you probably could tell, I had a fantastic conversation with Francesca. Really, really enjoyed it. And there were so many things that stood out for me. But the thing that really struck me was her talking about building community when we're of a mature age. It's something I've certainly struggled with, especially moving away from my own home country, build a new life in a totally different country. So there's so much to cover off in there that I'm going to make it next week's topic. So make sure you're subscribing so you don't miss the episode. And if there are any topics that you'd like me to cover in future episodes, be sure to drop me a note, info@janissutherland.com, or just leave a comment wherever you're listening to this week's podcast. So until next time, as always, remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time. Thanks for listening. If you got something from this week's episode, please let me know. Better yet, share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone you know who can benefit from this message. Don't forget to subscribe or write a review and connect with me at my website, janissutherland.com, where you can also subscribe to the This Woman Can newsletter or connect with me on LinkedIn. Remember, you have the wisdom, resilience, authenticity, and power to create a life on your terms. And if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.